Did anybody pay attention to which way this goes in? So today, getting back out to the ATV, it's been a little while. Had to hunt down some parts, but parts have been arriving and I've been piling them in the shed. So today we get a chance to see and make sure all these parts are what we expected. So time to rip open some boxes. Oh, I almost just slipped in the mud. That would have been amusing. It's like an ice box in here. It's warm outside today. Actually, it's nice outside. It's almost 50 degrees in the sun. In here feels like a freezer, so we'll get some air moving. You looking for squirrels? So here we've been piling up the parts. So let's see, we have the gasket set. This is important. Actually, nice, there's an exhaust gasket in here as well. I'll set this off to the side here. Here is our rubber boot. This will replace the CV boot over the drive shaft that was all torn up. We have a clutch. This is a used clutch. This looks right. Certainly used, but fully functional. Some grooves worn down in here, but this is going to be fine. And I do believe, I think we're in business there. Another key component. Crankshaft. Used crankshaft, but this one doesn't have everything all chipped out of it. The bearing, fully functional. Interestingly, there looks to be a little heat distortion. A little heat coloring on the sides there. Doesn't look to impact anything. We will have to find a Woodruff key. We'll have to come up with that. But this looks to be exactly what we need. In this box, there we go. We have our oil filters. Looks good. Some high temp paint. This is for the exhaust. And finally down in here, I'm gonna have to pull this one out. Aha! Look at that. All pre-assembled. We'll have to get the old one off the crankshaft. And with a few other pieces, gears already attached, but there we go. New lobe and not mashed. So we have our lobe. We have our gear. So I think we've got everything we need. So now, well, step one is going to be to press that crankshaft back into the case. Here we go. Assembly begins. Here's our replacement balancer gear. And this needs to go on the replacement crankshaft, which means this gear has to come off. So I can press this other one on. So let's see if I can. Oh boy. It's not one thing, it's another, isn't it? That is not going to reach down there. disassembling this is not out of the question, but reassembling it might be harder than it looks. Depends on how compressed those springs are. And I don't have any original ones to look at, so I just don't know. All right, here we go, one at a time. Roll pin. There we go. Did anybody pay attention to which way this goes in? Clutch side. Could you imagine if I pressed this all in backwards? What a pain that would be. So a shot of what we have here. We have our crank puller set up, and because it can't set all the way down in the case there, we have these two iron bars that came with it to space it out. So now as I keep everything in its appropriate place, we'll apply slow even pressure to the nut here and pull the crank into the block. Hey, babe. Slowly.
Slowly. Well, Rome wasn't built overnight, so that's my phrase.
I think so. Alright, here's amateur tip of the day, but if you pinch a screwdriver in these bars and feed it through the upper part of your crank here, you can make sure this shaft doesn't get pinched on either side of the case as you're pulling, because that would be lousy. This has got to go perfectly horizontal if I'm going to have any success and pull it. Might need your hands in here, babe, to hold this level while I get pressure on it. You can come in behind me and hold that corner, that end there.
Yeah, it does. It's definitely going in.
Let's your help.
Oh, hang on. There we go. Oh.
Yeah, that's perfect. We're in.
Oh, okay.
That is success.
Great.
One side of the crank. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Anytime. Okay, crank's been pressed in. That feels very nice. Let's start reassembling the transmission. Oh yeah, we're building a transmission. I'm doing it backwards because the pictures and everything I did, I built in the other side of the case.
Oh. That would make it a little bit more difficult.
It is making it a little more difficult. So that implies that this big gear sticking out in my photo go this way.
I should take a picture because it's really cool just to see all those, like, see that.
Oh.
That would be really bad if I just, like, found a random nut and just drop it in your box.
Oh, I'd lose my mind. Alright, it's coming. Cam shifter is back in. Forks back in. Everything spins as it should. Got our washers in the right places. Okay. There's the RVT job. I think we've got it in all the appropriate places, not too much. So let's see if we can get the other side of the case pressed on down on here. Case is oiled, so here we go. Well, now this case is really putting up a fight, but it's just about there. So I'm going to start putting some case screws in there and hold it nice and tight. Can we get some nice case screws in? Comes from the other side. So I've caught up to where I started the day. Looking to get this balancer gear installed. Actually not proving to be difficult with a pair of needle nose pliers at all, which is kind of nice after that battle to get the case put back together. Ooh, pin escaped. Okay. Suddenly I'm thinking this bottom gear is supposed to be further onto the crank. Okay, we're good. We have something we can whack out. Alright, that's enough for now. We've made good headway. The motor case is back together. We've still got to work through all of these parts over here one by one, kind of coming back. But it's time to pause and make sure I'm doing things appropriately, not rushing anything, and we'll keep going from there. So, good progress today. Speaking of slowing down, I just noticed something that I didn't catch earlier. So on the lobe that's all chewed up, on the original lobe, you have this nice thick washer and you have this bearing. On the replacement lobe that came, it came with the thick washer but not the bearing, and I didn't catch that before I closed the case. So I've got to split the case back again. I've got to get the bearing on here, put the case back together, then the lobe. So good a place as any to park, because I've got to do a little bit of rework, unfortunately. I actually got to do a lot of bit of rework. Well, you know what? It's time for a beer. It's time for 2 beers. Yeah.